Hello, welcome to the AP7 podcast. You are here with Rachel Donovan and the founder of AP7, Mr. George Helou.
Thanks, Rachel, and thank you for joining us. We love talking about how to get the heart into everything we do to get a lot out of life.
Whether it be relationships, business, careers, you name it. So, let's get started.
What is being rude? When people say, oh, that person's so rude, I mean, what does that even mean?
I guess it's sort of not friendly, obviously, the opposite of being friendly and warm and perhaps
offensive?
Polite.
Someone's being offensive?
Offensive or dismissive as well, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Offensive and dismissive.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, so how do you deal with rude people? This is what we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's be clear about what rude is. Rude is people being offensive and dismissive.
Yeah, speaking in that way.
Yeah, or behaving in a way that is seen as rude.
Yeah, it's slightly aggressive. Yeah, that's offensive, I guess, if they're being a bit aggressive in the way they talk and snappy.
Okay, so you were saying off air that you don't seem to have a problem with rude people. You like them.
No, I don't know.
Rachel adores rude people. Oh, he's so gorgeous. He's so rude.
I'm just saying that I don't tend to, it doesn't bother me too much because I'm talking, these are usually short.
Rude? Like-minded?
Like-minded. I respect that.
Kinship?
But I think I always can't, I just think it's not a personal thing. I'm not, now I sound like a doormat that I just put up with.
You've just realised right now, oh, damn it, I've been a doormat with rude people. I just looked the other way.
But I think it's not that I don't get shocked by it. I did have quite a rude bus driver only a few weeks ago who yelled at me. And
he yelled at you? A bus driver yelled at you?
Yeah, because I didn't signal and you meant to signal, so he drove past me. So I chased the bus with my
Iron woman chases
the bus and I waved, he let me on and I was like, sorry, didn't see me there. And he just blasted me because I didn't signal and I didn't realise you are meant to signal. So he did anyway. And he really did yell at me like I was kind of in shock. And I was a bit taken aback by it. And I chose not to say anything back because I really needed to be on that bus pretty much. If I missed that bus, it would have been all over. But then I was just sort of thinking, it kind of shook me. But then I thought, I don't want to take this on for the rest of my day and let it ruin my day just because someone who's clearly he's having a bad day that he would react in that way and not just say, listen, next time you really need to wave because I just didn't know and it was my mistake, but I didn't realise. But that's just him in a bad mood and I don't really want to.
Yeah, but Rachel, it's your fault. You put him in a bad mood. You didn't signal and then he had to feel guilty. He had to then.
He was already in a bad mood for sure. And it's like, I always think if you're in a good mood, right, say you win $1 million, how good a mood would you be in, right? Now, say something happens to you, like someone spills your coffee or someone does something, you're going to be like, oh, it's okay, that's fine. And things aren't going to bother you because you're just in such a good mood. Mm-hmm. But if you're in something bad has really happened to you and you're in a grumpy mood, something goes wrong and you're likely to snap at the other person for doing that or just be really disgruntled. So it's all to do with, I think, the way the other person is in their frame of mind. So that's why they're in a bad mood and it's got nothing to do with me.
That helps you. You've got good perspective so that when people are being rude, you're connected to the fact that they are not really being themselves. Something's happened and they're off. They're feeling off.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a good perspective. This could be a very short podcast because you just nailed it. Have perspective on rude people and you won't take it personally. But then the benefit of not taking it personally, Rach, is you perhaps could kind of check in on them and see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Because you see, if you don't take it personally but you stay quiet, what message is that sending that person?
Well,
they can be rude around you and there are no consequences, right?
Exactly. You're a doormat, yeah.
We don't have to go straight to doormat status straight away, okay? I mean, pushover. Maybe there's halfway
okay.
there, there's pushover, then doormat is endgame. But yes. So I think that when people are being rude, I take a leaf out of your book and say, don't take it personally. But at the same time, you have got to let that person know that there's a sense of expectation that you would be treated with respect.
Absolutely.
And that for whatever reason it's not happening, you're a compassionate person. You're willing to understand, are they off their game? Is there something going on? And then now there's a conversation where it belongs, right?
Sure, you can address it.
Yeah, because we're meant to be there for each other. You see, isn't that funny? Someone being rude, all of a sudden is an opportunity to deepen a connection, be compassionate, be there for them. Next thing you know, they experience that they were rude to you and you ended up being kind to them. Sounds like a very powerful way to be, right? And let's be honest, we're all rude without realizing it sometimes because we all are absent-minded. Our head could be in the cloud somewhere thinking deeply about something. Someone comes along, says hi to you, but you literally haven't noticed. I mean, this has happened to me a few times, right? Yeah. And then later they say, why were you so rude? And I go, what do you mean I was so rude? Well, I said hi to you at the lifts and you just looked right through me like I didn't exist, like you just ignored me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I now remember that, yeah, you did walk past, but I was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize, right? How many times has this happened to us? And people don't say anything, but they hold a grudge. That person snubbed me. I will never talk to them again.
Yeah, it's mixed mess. It can be mixed messages, can't it? Or
all the time, misinterpretation.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, you can be off your game, but you can also be in la-la land, not paying attention. So you don't mean not to acknowledge the person when they say hello or they ask you a question. Like, remember I gave you the example about how I realized my dad would, when I asked him, Dad, can I go here or go there? And then he'd just go silent and not respond.
Mm.
Well, that's rude, isn't it?
Yes, silence.
That's rude until I realized it wasn't intentional because I caught myself thinking about it. And then all of a sudden I started to think about other things and then other things. And before you know it, I forgot I forgot that there was a question and an expectation for a response.
Yeah.
So how many people do you think are being rude intentionally?
Well, actually, I had a situation. Well, that's true. And I think a lot of times, like you said, it isn't. But I did have a situation. So this wasn't a person I didn't know, like someone at a cafe or a bus driver or anything. This was actually someone I knew. And I noticed that they became really off with me all of a sudden and they were ignoring me or being passive aggressive and everything. And I did let it go for a little while. And then I just thought, I've got to address this because this is just not right. This is something wrong and I want to clear the air. And I contacted them to meet up one-on-one and just sort of chat and see what had happened. And as it turned out, I had done something to upset her without realizing. Mm. And so I apologized because I said, I had no idea that hurt you and I did not mean to do that. And I'm so sorry, and cleared the air. And, we didn't become the best of friends, but at least it just took away that stuff that was hanging around.
Well, that was well played. That was well done.
So it was nervous. I was really nervous, because
were you?
It was nerve-wracking, going into conversation like that and knowing this person wasn't, happy with me. So it was hard.
Rach, you probably know this story, but I think I should tell it because it just shows that we can believe people are being rude when it could be the opposite.
Oh, what's that?
One day there was this lady and she bought cookies and she sat at a bench in the park to eat them. And then this gentleman comes and sits right next to her. And then all of a sudden she notices that he reaches down to her bag of cookies and he takes a cookie out and starts eating it. She doesn't want to look at him. She's incensed by how dare he just take her cookie without even asking her. Then he reaches down and takes another cookie. This guy's helping himself big time to her cookies. And then he has the audacity to pick up the bag and offer her her own cookies. And she just is so upset. She grabs the bag and storms off. Her bag of cookies. When she got home, she opened her bag and no cookies were removed. All her cookies were there. You see, that bag was his cookies. He was eating from his cookies. She thought it was her bag.
Oh, gosh.
So, can you see what life is? Life is funny that way. Like, you don't get rooted at someone taking your cookies, right?
They're really yummy. I don't know.
But there you have someone being generous and offering his cookies. She's too busy thinking, wanting to protect her cookies.
Yeah.
Thinking it was hers. That's a powerful story.
I love the way you tell stories.
Why? Because I crack myself up while I'm trying to tell them.
You get in that story mode. It's like a storyteller. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I don't think I've told enough stories in my life when I talk about stuff because we like stories. Stories take us, they fire the imagination. They take us somewhere. We can relate to life and events. But, what this tells us about rude is that don't be so quick to think that the person is intending to be rude, is actually even being rude. And if they are being rude, don't be surprised if they'll back down quickly and want to apologize because they were caught in a bad mood and they weren't conscious of how they were being to everyone around them. And then when you gave them that perspective, they jolted out of it and they're grateful to you that you believed that they wouldn't intend to be rude. And then, obviously, this podcast wouldn't be a good one unless we dealt with the dude or dudette that intentionally wanted to be rude and didn't care.
Yeah. So what do we do then?
Well, Rachel, I'd like to throw that to you. We can bounce off each other on this one. What would you do? You'd be shocked for a start because in your world, everyone's just lovely. No one wants to be deliberately rude. So you'd be shocked.
That's what, yeah.
All right. So you've come off your shock. What do you do?
Depends on if I have to interact with them again, that I need to kind of see what's happening, like you said before, like to check in, to kind of just address it. If it's not, then I just...
Yeah, but hang on a minute. What we're saying is you asked them, you said...
All right.
Did you mean to say that right now? Because that came across as really rude. Were you trying to be very offensive or was that not meant that way? And if they turned around and said, no, I meant it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say? You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Well, maybe the question why. Why do you think I deserve to be treated that way? So obviously they're going to come up with their story, aren't they? There you're going to catch the misinterpretation that at some point they assume something about you. Of course, there's a small chance that maybe you did do something and you didn't even realize, like you were saying before, right?
Yeah.
What if you were in a bad mood? What if you did something and then you've moved on and they're still reacting to that? In other words, you're going to find out what is going on. Because there's one good assumption to hold here. Humanity, despite our bad track record, wants peace.
Yeah.
I know, it's laughable, isn't it? For humanity to want peace, yet, boy, we're sure we've got multiple wars going on in the world. I don't know, sometimes I hear we are improving, although it looks like we're not. Anyway, you have to assume they want peace because that's a good assumption, isn't it? If you assume that they want to treat you well and that you want to treat them well, and they refuse to believe you, in other words, they would rather hold on to the war, the battle with you, I think that's boundary time. That's the time when you say to them, wow, if there's no trust or respect between us because you want to hold on to the idea that you should be treating me this way and you don't want to believe my intentions, then we don't have a friendship. I can't deal with you.
And what about if it's someone you work with?
It depends. If they're your staff member, you sack them.
Off with their head.
No, you give them a written warning or no, actually, that would be serious. If your staff member was treating you like that and you're the boss, then you say to them, do you think it's a good idea for you to work in an environment where you don't trust that the boss has good intentions towards you and that wants to support you? Do you want to come to a work environment where you have no trust in your boss? And if they say, I don't care, say, well, you're obviously not mature enough to make good decisions, so I'm going to have to make the decision for you. Do you want to change your mind and believe that I've got good intentions or not? Now, if they say, I do want to change my mind, say, all right, I'm going to give you a warning that you need to trust that I'm coming from a good place. You need to come and ask questions. But if he or she says, if they just shrug their shoulders, they don't want to open up, then you say, I don't think you should be here anymore. Do you? And then I would let them go. Now, that's a tricky situation in the sense that, you know, you should be giving them warning letters first to let them know they're going to lose their job. So I think you'll find yourself giving them warning letters over a few weeks period and then let them go, which is a good timely way to exit someone if they've got bad attitude like that. If it's a work colleague, then if it affects your work, then you need to talk to your manager. But if you wanted to be courteous because you don't like to snitch, you then at least warn them that you will escalate it to the manager if you can't resolve it with them. But if it doesn't affect your work at all, then you say to them, look, I'm going to keep my distance from you. I now know where I stand. I can do my work without you, without needing you, and vice versa. So let's just keep it that way. If you change your mind and you want to come and talk to me about this, I'll leave that door open.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's if it's a colleague. Because if they don't want to resolve it with you, then escalate it to your manager if your work depends on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other scenario in a workplace?
What if it was your boss?
That was being like that? Yeah, good point. Then can you imagine, right, that you've gone all the way through the process of challenging them and then they are having that level of attitude? You would probably best look for another job.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because that person is holding a position of power that he's abusing or she's abusing their power.
Yeah.
And unless you can escalate it above them and say, look, I'm at a stalemate with my boss. He basically said this to me and I don't know what to do about it. What should I do about it? And then they'll say, are you serious? He really did that? Yes. But I prefer to have a meeting with that boss and you, all of us talk about this. I'll do that. Go for it. If you're in an environment where you can escalate it. But if you're in an environment where the hierarchy is so steep and, you know, you can't, leave. Go find yourself an environment that will value you and look after you and you'll give them your best of you rather than you being resentful and feeling drained every day and not giving the best of you and stagnating and giving that person more fuel to resent you back. In other words, it's only going to be a downward spiral when the attitude is screwed up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't put up with that. But anyway, I don't know, rude, can you see that that's such a rare thing though? Like when people are being rude, it's usually accidental.
Yeah.
It's usually misinterpreted. So by the time you get to those situations, they're so far and few, you know?
Yeah.
That you really...
That's the exception more the rule, isn't
yeah.
it? Situations. So more often than not, it is, like you said, it's being misunderstood or an accident or someone just having a bad day and they didn't, mean it.
Yeah. But Rachel, the moral of the story, I guess, is that all rudeness should be addressed. Maybe not at the time if something's going on and your gut says time it better, but all rudeness should be addressed unless someone's been consistent with you for a long time and you know something terrible's happened to them and it's just a one-off thing and they're back to being consistent with you, fine. But if the relationship is that good, wouldn't you want to be there for them and tell them you noticed that they were off anyway? So what I'm saying is you should address all rudeness because not only will you get to the truth and deepen your connection with the person, but you'll also find out which enemies are deliberately wanting to be rude and are just trying to hurt you. And aren't you better off knowing the enemies around you? Because then you can know what you're dealing with. And if they know you know they exist, their power diminishes against you because they now know you see them and you see what they're trying to do. You see straight through them, so they can't manipulate, they can't deceive, they can't abuse you because you see straight through them. You see that they're just trying to hurt you. So you would want to go there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if that's the outcome.
But I guess it's hard. And I say I guess because I know for a long time, for me, in the past, it was hard, but it hasn't been hard for me for a long time. Why? Because once you take the risk and be courageous and go for it, you'll realize you're fine. Then you do it again, you realize you're fine. And eventually you realize you lose your tolerance not to go there because there's always a reward of knowing where you stand and improving that relationship or moving beyond one. If it's that toxic, it's unsalvageable at the time. Yeah. So what have we learned from this? Rudeness is an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see, that bus driver could have been your best friend. You'll never know. If you got off your seat, went up to him and say, you know what? I wish I knew I had to signal because you seem like a really good bus driver and I could see that I've upset you. I hope from now on you see me as someone who really does respect bus rules, bus etiquette, and had a laugh with him. And then he'll be smiling at you every time you get on the bus instead of looking the other way. We laugh. All right.
Well,
our listeners are looking forward to the next rude experience so they can try out their new rude coping skills.
yeah, let us know how you go.
Yeah.
Our AP7 AP7 official Facebook page.
Yeah, look, get together, be rude to each other and see how you handle it.
Well, thanks for joining us on the AP7 podcast. Thank you, George.
See you later, guys.
Thank you for joining us on another AP7 podcast. If you liked what you heard, remember to share and subscribe so you're notified of every podcast released. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, please jump on the AP7 official Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you.